What's up everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be answering some of the most commonly asked questions about Bartholin cysts and really just having a little chat with you guys about some of the things that went unanswered in my videos. So before we get started, just a quick update. Some of you may have noticed that I actually changed the name of my channel from Nicalia Holistic Health to Sempiternal Healing. And I just figured, I would change the name of this entire ordeal early on because I wasn't really liking it. It was just like not really my thing. And my channel's kind of gaining a little bit more traction, so I thought that it would be best to change the name before things get any more out of hand. So, with that being said, let's dive right into these questions, and I will make sure to answer them all to the best of my ability. So the number one question that I think is the most important that I get asked a lot is it contagious? And the answer to that question is no. Bartholin cysts are not contagious. Though the cause of a Bartholin cyst isn't necessarily known, it's pretty safe to say that Bartholin cysts are caused by the environment in your body, whether it's pH, hormones, or toxicity. So because Bartholin cysts have an internal cause and they're not caused by any sort of bacteria, that means that they cannot be transmitted. So another question that I get asked a lot, that I feel like I get asked more than any other question, and unfortunately there is simply no answer, is how long will it last, or how big will it get? And because everybody's body is different, it is absolutely impossible to tell. Some people might have Bartholin cysts that last for 2 days, and then others may have it for 2 weeks. Some may have them grow to the size of a pea and then stop. Others might have something more like the size of a golf ball. And everybody's body is different. Like we just can't tell. And this next one is super important. Where do you put the gauze? So imagine my hand right here is the gauze pad. You want to put the product on the side that corresponds with whichever side your cyst is on. So there are 2 openings to the Bartholin glands. There are 2 on either side of the vagina. And in order to get the product that's on the gauze pad directly onto the opening of the Bartholin gland, you kind of have to almost fold it in half a little bit and halfway shove it upwards. It can be kind of uncomfortable, but that's the best way that I found to make sure that the product reaches the opening efficiently. The next question is, what is a sitz bath and what do you put in it? So a sitz bath is basically where you fill the tub with as hot of water as you can possibly stand. And if you were to sit in the tub and hang your feet over the side, the water would just cover your lady parts. And you should take sitz baths for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes at a time. I recommend 2 to 3 sitz baths a day for this particular ailment. And what you put in it kind of just depends on you. A lot of people will just put regular sea salt in there, and that's what I do. It seems to work the best for me. You can use Epsom salt, you can put a couple of capfuls of apple cider vinegar, or you can put essential oils like lavender and tea tree oil in. This next question is kind of interesting to me. I didn't really think about answering this. Can I use Prid salve if the cyst is deep below the surface and not irritated? So this is kind of an interesting question because Prid is a drawing salve. So yes, you can use it to draw whatever is in there to the surface, but I think that it's most effective if you do something to sort of mildly irritate the cyst before you use the Prid salve, because it makes it that much easier for it to work. So meaning if you were to use Phoebes method, so witch hazel, calamine lotion, tea tree. The tea tree in that component is what is supposed to draw out whatever's in the cyst. And it's not because tea tree necessarily has drawing components, but it's because tea tree slightly burns away at the skin, whatever's blocking that hole, and kind of makes it easier for whatever's in there to come out. And for this reason, when you use Phoebe's method, things will get worse before they get better. They get super, super irritated. So once it is to that irritated point, then I like to put the Prid Salve on, and within 24 hours, the cyst is gone. So the next question is, what do I do when the cyst starts to drain, and does it hurt? So no, it does not hurt when your cyst starts to drain. It is actually a really relieving feeling because the pain immediately goes away. When the cyst starts to drain, what I do is I take a sitz bath, I clean out the area as well as I can possibly manage, and then I'll apply whatever method that I was using for 2 more 4-hour applications if it's the daytime, or overnight if it's the nighttime. And then I will continue to take 2 to 3 sitz baths a day for 2 to 3 days after it starts to drain, just to ensure that the hole stays open and that every infection that's in there comes out. So another question that I got is, when the cyst pops, does blood come out? This is another one of those questions that kind of is just like, oh, well, it depends on your body. Because for me, I get like a really watery kind of like yellow and white sort of mixture that comes out. And other people, I've heard that it's like a period, like lots of different shades of blood. So, I mean, it just really depends on you and how long you had the infection. It depends on a lot of factors, but everybody's body is different with this one. So how can you tell if the cyst has popped and started to drain? This one's pretty easy because you'll see some sort of fluid in your underwear, whether it's blood or mucus of some sort, pus. Like, it's pretty easy to tell. You just feel like a wetness, like you just started your period, and it's great because you're like, hallelujah, it's gone. So another question that I get asked a lot is, what is witch hazel? So witch hazel is an astringent and an antibacterial fluid. It's just kind of like it sort of smells a little bit like rubbing alcohol. It's clear. Witch hazel is made from a flowering plant, and it is commonly used to treat skin conditions like acne, stings, burns, itching, and yeah. So a really important question that I didn't think to answer that actually can be super helpful to tell if the methods you're using are working. What if the methods I'm using are making my cyst sting? So when you use a method and it starts to sting, that is a very good sign because it means that the method is reaching the whole of the Bartholin gland and it's working. So think about if you have a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, okay, and you just pour it on your arm, and your arm has no cuts, no scrapes, no anything on it. It's just gonna be like you're pouring really smelly water on your arm. Okay, but if your arm is covered in cuts and scrapes and you pour hydrogen peroxide on it, it immediately starts to bubble and eat away at that infection and it stings. So think about it that way, and that just means that, you know, you have an open wound, and if you use the method and it stings, that means that you have successfully reached the opening of the Bartholin gland cyst and that the substance is doing its job. That's not to say that it's always going to sting. If it's not stinging, it doesn't mean that it's not working. So this is another very important question that I got that I feel the need to answer. Some of you may not know what this is, but I'm going to explain it. Are Prid and black salve the same thing? No, black salve and Prid are not the same. Prid is a homeopathic drawing salve with FDA approved ingredients, and most of the stuff in it is like super good for you. It comes from a lot of plant matter. So yeah, and black salve is something different entirely. Black salve was a gimmick that somebody created that is made of extremely harmful ingredients, and people tried to say that it was a home remedy that you could use to cure skin cancer or bring cancerous tumors from underneath your skin out. Oh my gosh, like, okay, so what this does is it's a paste that burns and eats away at the skin tissue and leaves behind a thick black scar. And it's a stupid and dangerous alternative to cancer treatments. People have died from using black salve. People have like holes in their skin. It's gross and it's awful, and no, they're not the same thing, so rest assured. So another question that I should have probably been a little bit more clear about in my videos is how long do you put the Prid on for? And the short answer to this is if you are awake and it's the daytime, you want to put a generous amount of Prid on a gauze pad, shove it up in that area, and then leave it for 4 hours. Then you want to take it off, clean the area super well, maybe use another method, and then 2 hours later, Prid again for 4 hours. Now, if it is nighttime and you're about to go to bed, leave it on overnight, and that's when I found that it's the most effective, because usually if I leave it on for one night, or occasionally two, by the next morning it's popped. So that concludes my Q&A about Bartholin cysts. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment below or message me directly on Instagram, Facebook, or here on YouTube. I hope that you found this information useful. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you later.